Okay, we're ready to go. Here we got you centered and everything. Welcome to the Hutchinson County Podcast. We are here at the Hansford Abstract Company. Thank you, Brian Gillespie, for letting us in and getting us some refreshments and providing a room to do this podcast today. We are here with, let me get you centered. It's going to be,
You're okay.
all right, Brady Smith, artist, author, and we're talking about the article he wrote. Everybody's seen it on Facebook. It's had over 1 million views. The title is There's a Stretch of Highway 15 Where the World Forgets to Look. What does Booker represent to you?
To me, well, first it's home.
I tell you what, we'll back up and let's get your background, what you've done since high school till now.
Okay. I attended West Texas A&M University for 7 years. I don't have a doctorate. I went to business school there. Came home and started working at my dad's oil field company with him. And in 2000, I believe it was 2006, I bought him out and started growing the company. And then in 2015, I got out of the oil field business, and that's when I started the art, and was a stay-at-home dad for a couple years. And then I was the postmaster for Derzett Post Office, little 4-hour post office in Derzett, Texas, for about 2 years. And then from there, I went to work for Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages, route sales manager.
All right, very interesting. Yes, Coca-Cola. Very grateful for you guys
Yeah.
getting the
yeah.
Coke on the shelf. And
It's popular.
no matter, and no matter what the conditions are,
That's right.
y'all were there unloading truck in the blizzard, whatever.
Yeah.
They're there doing it.
Yeah.
All right, you are the author. You had wrote an article. There's a stretch of Highway 15 where the world forgets to look. So let's talk about that article and how that come about.
Yeah, and actually, I titled that "The Town That Could Save America."
Okay.
Because there's a plant, a packing plant, independent packing plant in our town that employs about 300 people. It's always kind of been a lifeblood to the town, really, and a lot of my friends and a lot of my friends' parents have got their citizenship by way of that packing plant. And so it's really ingrained into the community, in that a lot of the teachers and a lot of the business owners, either through ancestry or their selves have came to the United States to work at that plant and started their path to citizenship there. So that plant caught on fire, a pretty severe fire recently, and it, immediately you just kind of knew it was going to be devastating for the town. That there was a lot of people and a lot of families that were going to be trying to figure out what their future held. I think our school has a little over 360 kids, and 98 families that are associated with the packing plant.
They talking packing plant, 200 employees, or
Yeah.
give or take a few, and the town is actually smaller than Stinnett was population, 1,100 maybe 1,000. It's
around 1,300.
They're 1,300, so very impactful. That's
Yeah.
that basically the town. Impressive that plant's been open all them years and been able to.
Yeah.
To me, to be able to sustain a labor force and not lack of workers wanting to work and have to shut the plant down. It's sustained for
and that's
a couple decades.
Yeah, and that's not by accident. A lot of those, even in the beginning, a lot of the workers were vetted through missionary programs tied to local churches, and so they do a lot to make sure that workforce is as stable as possible. And I think you've seen it where the kids that graduate from our schools, they rarely come back, and so to keep regenerating that workforce that's pretty amazing.
Well, I grew up in a small town. That's pretty much small town. Nobody comes back hardly.
Yeah.
Unless they come take care of their parents or grandparents.
I think it was a Hal Ketchum song where he said the world is flat. You know it because it drops off at the edge of town.
Oh, yes.
Because when people leave, they don't ever come back.
So I think we kind of touched on this. What would we called? It's called Preferred Beef.
Mm-hmm.
Is the name of the packing plant in Booker. Basically, we just touched on it. That is basically the spine of the town.
Yeah, and I called it the spine in that article because it holds us up.
Okay, the next question we'll get to is what happens to Booker if the plant is not rebuilt?
So Booker doesn't die necessarily. It shrinks. It shrinks a lot. 98 families tied to it in the school of 360 kids, and then you take the residuals of what happens to the school system, what happens to the other businesses there. It drives a lot of revenue, and not only what happens to the people in town, but what happens to some of the beef producers and those folks when an already tight market gets even tighter.
Okay, Preferred Beef is 100% employed owned. What does that mean in real life for workers?
Yeah, so I can't give you all the details as to how that's set up, just because I don't.
You're not in the corporate
I'm honestly
office.
not
You're not
in
an
the
employee
corporation.
and everything. That's
Right.
totally understand.
What I do know is that they switched to that format towards the end of 2025, and that was a process that they were starting to execute. But what does it mean? Is it means that the workers there have a stake in the labor, and to me that means you're probably going to see better quality. You're going to see a more long-term investment from your employees. You treat something a little different if you own it.
Okay, I'm just kind of reading down these questions. Some of them are kind of repetitive. We're just going to start. Decide you're going to write this article.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of tell us what research you did and what you learned and what new stuff you did learn, and
Yeah.
feel free to elaborate. That's kind
course.
of these next 6-7 questions were about the beef packing plant.
Right.
But the big thing is we want to talk about this big story
Yeah.
you wrote that went viral. So
Yeah.
start at the beginning when it became a thought, and then your research. Just I'll let you tell the story on it.
So, immigration and immigrants have always kind of held a big place in my life, just because we had an immigrant that moved in with us when I was a boy. We called him Shorty. And my dad took him under his wing, and he lived with us for 5 years, like he was one of us. And so that's kind of how I was always taught. You don't judge people by what you see, and I've lived my whole life in Booker and Lipscomb County, and so my wife was getting ready to go to school the morning that the fire started, and she got a message. Some of the workers' wives were panicked, and they worked for her at the school, and she said, "Oh my God, the packing plant's on fire!" And I mean, instantly, I knew that there was going to be, at the very least, there was going to be a lot of workers that weren't going to have work to go to for at least some period of time. And of course, you're worried about, people's safety, because we're a tight knit community. My wife has students that chose not to go to college, that were extremely talented, that wound up going to join their family at a plant to work, and so those kids were definitely on your mind. And I think I felt probably what the whole town felt is just concern and what's going to happen, and that set with me. And so the post wasn't intended to be an article, though I do write articles for magazines. I'm not an investigative journalist. I'm a storyteller.
You're not 2020 or kind of with them.
No, no. And so I'm not in general. I don't do fact hunting, that sort of stuff. I tell stories that I think need to be told, that are more social interest piece type stuff. And the post was really meant to be just to give my community a little hope and a little encouragement, and kind of make it known that they're doing something that's impactful. They're doing something that's good, and that the community needs to keep that.
And I want to tell folks, I'm sorry, I'll not
You're
interrupt you. The article we're talking about, you've seen it, has that green sign that
Next
says
9
Booker,
exits.
the next, how many exits was that?
9.
Next 9 exits. Is that sign real or is that AI generated?
That sign is very real.
Okay, I've been through Booker like
Yeah.
twice in my life, so I just want to clarify that. If y'all seen that, maybe if you just kind of scrolling on social media the last week or two, you see that next 9 exits Booker.
Yeah.
That is the article that we are referring to. So go ahead and
It's funny.
continue.
It's funny you mention that. It's funny you mention that sign, because in conversation on that post, I finally figured out where the 9th exit was. I spent 30 or 40 years trying to figure out where all the exits were, and there's 8 streets that connect to Highway 15 on the south side of the tracks. There's 1 street that connects to Highway
One
15.
goes north.
And the one I was missing all this time was the one going north.
That goes to, isn't there a highway comes out of the Booker?
The
Going
Highway
north?
15 goes straight through east.
I know
and west.
15 goes, but don't y'all have one that
And
goes
then-
north
And then
to
23 goes north to Beaver.
Beaver? That's what I've been
And-
through there.
yeah.
Okay, yes. There's your 9th Street right there.
Well,
Maybe that's the
maybe.
10th. Maybe you stirred up something now.
I don't
Another
know.
article about how many exits we got in Booker.
Yeah.
So, all right, yeah. So I'll let you go ahead and carry on.
It definitely, that sign definitely shows there's kind of a sense of humor about the town, right?
Oh, very much so. Yes.
So it was really intended to be just kind of some hope for my community, and I know that I made some connections to some of what's going on nationally, but never in a million years did I think it would travel much further than our little neck of the woods. And so I wrote it off some, and some of the data, the numbers for the school were just for the elementary, and those were something my wife gave me out of concern, and just kind of relaying what the outlook looked like. And I did a little bit of research on Booker Pack and their corporate structure before I wrote it, but I really just wrote it very quickly, and it's set in my Word documents for the day, and I finished up my work day in Spearman, and I posted it. Just kind of, I debated it for a minute, and then I posted it, and then I got to the house, and about 45 minutes away, and I walked in the house and made my way to the kitchen, and my wife's standing there scrolling on her phone, and she says, "What have you done?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "What have you done?" Do I need to, should I be concerned? Do I need an attorney? What's going on? She told me to scroll on my Facebook, and I'm scrolling, and I'm like, "Oh, so and so saw my post, and so shared my post, so and so shared my post. Who is that? And who is that?" And I think it had like 600 shares in that 45 minutes, and so I decided to put the phone down and pretend it went away, and then I got a call the next morning from a customer in Dalhart, and they were asking me if that was me, and it dawned on me that didn't go away overnight.
Yeah, in case it kind of grew and blew up, or
Yeah.
what the younger folks would tell us, it's going viral.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
something not in our generation, but
Right. And I didn't, until this, I really didn't even know what defined a viral post. I think now it's up to 1.5 million views and 3,400 shares, and it took on a life of its own.
So besides our small corner of the world, has anybody reached out to you with this article that we would like to talk to you more or something like that? Or
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying like the Tonight Show.
Joe Rogan hadn't called.
Joe Rogan or the Tonight Show hadn't reached out, or none of that. But
No.
no.
There has been some people reach out to me from some pretty reputable magazines and stuff like that. Uh, and mostly it's been people that were concerned and wanted to help, and of course High Plains Observer reached out, and after my second article, they offered me a column, which is amazing opportunity. That's a great news organization, and it furthers kind of and is in line with kind of my mission as an artist and as a writer. So
And kind of some of that sometimes you're either one or the other, but you got the if you
yeah,
we'll talk about that toward the end of the podcast. We'll talk about where people can look at all your stuff, your articles, and your artwork and everything. It's actually two things I can't do, so I envy you for that. I was up there doing this, and I
yeah. The
said,
writing was kind of an accident. Uh, I was doing the art for a couple years, and a pretty prominent member of the community passed away unexpectedly, and I painted a painting of him because his business was right across from mine, Todd Yacht, and so I did this painting and I left it on the doorstep of his brother's house for him, and I felt like I needed to kind of explain why I was painting, and so I had to kind of dig for what it was that and why that impacted me so much, and that post and that essay I wrote, I guess you'd call it, took off, and the writing really kind of overshadowed the art.
okay, we'll talk about the article. Now, we talked about it had a lot of views, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
shares. Would you want to care to share just maybe general, the positive feedback and the negative feedback off that article?
Yeah.
Don't have to
So
be any specific quotes or give anybody their limelight, but
no.
know it.
So overall, and I do mean overall in a big way, the reaction has been very positive. There's been somewhere around 23 reactions, and only 77 of those were negative. There's been, I think, 16,000 likes and 5,000 loves, and in general, the reaction has been very positive. A lot of those people are familiar with Booker. They get what an independent packing plant does to the supply chain, and they care about people, right? There has been some that see the word immigrant and assume illegal, and I think that's the only thing that I would say has been kind of negative is some that would jump to the conclusion that they're illegal.
Yeah, they need to send somebody up to Booker and
Yeah,
then pick some folks up. Yes, I
right,
thought, see with that kind of,
right,
with the political climate we're in right now and everything.
right. And I've had a few that called me a liberal and a lib, which clearly they don't know my politics. I'm for legal immigration. America was built on legal immigration, and I'm not going to promote illegal anything. But
No, and well, you were telling me, I know our phone conversation, basically Booker, them over the, what, 30, I'm sorry, the 3 decades that you know of,
yeah,
have actually helped a lot of people get to become
yeah,
U.S. citizens with the network in the community, the help, bringing them in, acclimating them, helping them study their citizenship, and actually making citizens. So it's
mm-hmm.
a very good thing. It's not people
Well,
just flooded up to Booker in the last 30 years
right,
and
right,
nobody's
yeah,
doing anything, or they're just, lined up and down
yeah.
streets and
Well,
causing problems and mayhem.
those, it's important to know that those immigrants are also helping us. An example, one of my very best friends in the world was he lived with his grandmother, and her husband were immigrants that got their citizenship and came through the packing plant. And his grandma made the most incredible tortillas. I mean, they were to die for. And she knew that those tortillas would motivate us to do just about anything. She spoke perfect English, but she would make us have a conversation with her in Spanish if we wanted tortillas that day. And I think that was more to get her grandson to learn Spanish. But I can tell you now that being bilingual has helped me in my career path many times over. So those people, it wasn't just us helping them; they were helping us grow, and it you didn't think of it as immigrants and nationals. It was Booker.
Okay, if you had 60 seconds on this ain't small time. If you had 60 seconds on national TV, what would you say about Booker?
I would say that if you want to, first I would say don't assume that an immigrant is an illegal immigrant, uh, and and familiarize yourself with the process that those folks are going through. That they have to be legal residents for an extended period of time, many times 5 years minimum, and and so I would say understand what you're really looking at and what you're talking to before you go to invoice negative stuff. And I would also say that Booker is a very good case study in what legal immigration and rural community building should look like.
Yeah, that's something I knew there was a beef packing plant up there. Never knew any specifics. Learned a lot from our phone conversation the other day, and it's a very good dynamic and actually a pretty good blueprint. And it's been
Yeah,
going on. It's been
50
kind of under
years.
the radar 50 years. Okay, 5 decades.
Yeah,
I'm just calling 30 because
yeah,
that's all I can probably
yeah,
recall in my life,
yeah,
and everything. But yeah, for half a century doing this and very good blueprint. And actually wanted to do this podcast to kind of get that out there too, that don't be too hard. And since you live in the area, is there any like fundraising or charity stuff, or is it just kind of still early in their? The
So
insurance company has to come in, of course, and
right,
evaluate what it's going to cost to fix the plant, and then
yeah.
kind of go back and forth. I think is that might be where it's at, but
So I can tell you that there's already been amazing outreach, and I know at least one semi load of food was delivered. I know there is a fund set up with the fire relief fund through the Booker Fire Department, and
yeah,
they're
and don't be, and we will put this out there. Don't be conned. This time it draws a
yeah.
con people out. So Booker Fire Department, that would actually be a good one.
Hmm.
They have a Chamber of Commerce up there, or
The Lions Club
the
has
Lions Club would be a good people to
The
contact.
Lions Club has set up a fund. The Missionary Coalition, I think it's called, which is the churches are doing some food donations, and really, I would say contact City Hall, the school. Uh, they're going to know the right place to steer you.
Yes, then don't
Don't
if you
just send
don't
it
know,
around. Right.
call the Lions Club. They can direct you to Chamber. Just whatever.
Yep.
Contact Brady on Facebook. He lives in Booker. He could tell you
I'd be
kind
more
of
than
where to
happy
direct
to.
if you want to help. If you want to help with money, help with supplies. Maybe it's not a wildfire situation like
Right.
when we dealt with around my mom's house 2 years ago,
Right.
where you could go help your neighbors clean up their yard and give them stuff and this and that. But yeah, it's definitely needed. You just never know when it's going to come into your backyard and you have problems. There's 200 plus people now that
Yeah.
they may have some vacation time. It might be a week or two. Then that's it. And then the company, well, you just don't know if they're going to what. You just don't know.
Well,
Yes, we're going to rebuild. It could take 6 months. It could take 2 months.
well, and that's the
They may shut it down. You just don't know.
well, and that's so. There's a lot of variables that will determine whether or not that plant gets rebuilt, and one of those is, can we keep the workforce? Because those people are going to have to figure out how to feed their kids very quickly, and so that might mean that they leave very quickly
They
as
might,
well.
yeah, take on something else and have to
Right.
go to instead of waiting to be helped.
Yeah.
We have to get ahead of this and stay ahead of our bills, and we're gonna have to take a career change and a relocation. That's totally
Yeah.
understandable.
So and that's the thing is right now, I think our main concern needs to lie with those people, and being the community that we've always been, and making the perspective, the possibility of not having that community support, a worse option than staying with us and taking care of our community. Because, every one of those people is part of our community, and we need to take care of them.
Help them out. And
Yep.
I said, we talked about the contacts. Brady, he lives there in Booker. He's boots on the ground. He knows what's going on day to day. I mean, you do work, but you're part of the community. Your wife works for the school. So
Yeah.
just if you have any questions, you contact Brady on Facebook, Lions Club, the other charities we mentioned. All right, now you're going to be doing an article for HPL, kind of tell us what we're looking for there and some artwork. So give us a sneak peek of what's coming up for the High Plains Observer.
Yeah. So she didn't really define what my article's going to be. I think she's gave me a lot of creative freedom in that, and so, like I said, I'm a storyteller, and I like to tell stories, and when I say stories, I mean real, true stories. But I like to take a lot of times national topics or topics that are exploding in the press, and I like to give the small town perspective on it, because I think small towns have a lot to offer the rest of the country in terms of you can really shrink that down and look at an issue through a little bit smaller of a scope and a more community focused scope. When you see riots and crazy stuff going on TV, it's hard to ignore the fact that you're talking about communities that are millions of people, and when you're in a place like that, it is hard to think of your neighbors sometimes. I think, we spend so much time working, we spend so much time chasing more and more and more and more, and we, with all the technology we've got to try and bring us together, it seems like we just keep
growing apart. Yeah.
And so that is harder to do in a small town. Granted, you go to the beer store and you buy a 6-pack, and you're likely that some of your friends are going to honk at you when you're coming out, so everybody knows you're at the beer store. And then 3 hours later, they show up at your house to help you drink the beer.
Have to drink the beer for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So I think that our country could learn a lot about unity and moral fiber and to live with each other, whoever we are, from small towns, and that's going to be my focus with that article.
Well, I'm just going to say we're different than folks up north anyway. I'm just going to put that out there.
We are.
We love each other and love our country and love our state and love our neighbors, and
well, and
whatever they're doing up there, they can just keep doing it up there. I'm not worried about it. You're kind of concerned, but then you're just like, man, you can't. You just gotta worry about what you can control. That's the best way in life.
Yeah.
Just you can't worry about stuff you can't fix or can't control.
Yeah.
It's not going to help you. It's not productive.
There's this funny thing. I don't know how many communities you've been in that kind of have a lot of international audience, but I used to play when I was younger. I used to play this online game, and it was people all over the world. And one thing I noticed is if you ask somebody from the United States where they're from, they'll say the United States unless they're from Texas. And if they're from Texas, they say Texas.
Texas.
And somebody would say, "You mean so the United States?" And they're like, "No, Texas."
I know I've worked in Illinois about 20 years ago, and they could tell me where I was from just talking to me. This accent, I'm just like, wow, really? You're Texan? No, I'm not. And then they give them a hard time about how they talk. It's fun. Visit other parts of the country, and when they're not burning stuff up and doing whatever, I went to Chicago 20 years ago. I don't think I'd go up there today, or even, I'd say south. I wouldn't go south of the border either. I've been Mexico 20 years ago. I wouldn't go. It's just, obviously, the world's changing all around the world, and you got to be very careful where you go. But we will talk about, when's articles. We'll just be looking for that on HPO.
So the first one's already released, and the name of the column is the Panhandle Palette.
And that will be on High Plains Observer
Yep.
Facebook page and High Plains Observer Perryton.com.
Yeah, and I think it's on the main page too. Is that?
That's what I was talking about, the main
Okay.
Facebook page and then the .com page. High Plains Observer Perryton, you hear it all the time, Perryton radio station.
Yeah.
Because they carry, some of interesting interviews will be on the High Plains Observer Perryton.com page.
Gina has a great platform, and she does a very good job.
Been very
touching
very
the
good to
community.
work for and helped me on my podcast and my sports and kind of growing from there. And this interview also will be shared on the Booger News Herald Facebook page, and we'll also be sharing it on the Texas Panhandle Updates page.
I went to third grade in Borger,
Third grade.
Davy Crockett Elementary.
You know,
I don't even think it's there anymore.
it's not there. They got
Yeah.
Paul Belton and Gateway. We
Yeah.
don't. I've never heard of Davy Crockett.
Really?
No, and I've been in
old, dude.
Booger since '05, and
So
that might be that admin building. It's the admin building now, but it used to be an elementary
So
school.
I'm trying to remember where it was. It was kind of, I don't even remember how to get there because of that loop-de-loop at the first of town. But
That's easy. Circle. It's less confusing than.
so I don't think it was the first exit off of that going this way. Anyway, there was a nursing home across the street, and that my mom was the administrator at that nursing home, and Davy Crockett was right across the street, and so I went to Davy Crockett so I could go.
That's actually
And I think
middle school and the new Gateway now. It's
Yeah,
over on
they-
the southeast part of Booger because
Right.
that nursing home is still there.
Oh, you're kidding me?
No, I would. Yeah, I was in there last year.
That surprises me.
Oh, it looks like it's about
I won't say
50
anything
plus
else.
years old. You
Uh,
they do the best they can, and that's another thing I always tell people.
Yeah.
Man, go visit them nursing homes and cheer them old
They
people up.
need
Even
it.
if you know
They
somebody,
need it.
if you have a talent, you want to perform in front of somebody, take your show to the nursing home.
Yeah.
A lot of people have done that, and it makes a world of difference. Makes them people smile.
You wouldn't believe just how much seeing a kid walk the halls of that place cheers them up.
Oh, just that alone and everything. And
So yeah,
if you're not playing an instrument, that's even better. That's
Yeah.
or special talent. But yeah, don't forget them folks in nursing home. But
I think that's on the list for every one of our school programs. They always do something at the nursing home.
they do something up there.
So
For sure. Well, Brady, I appreciate it.
I
And
appreciate
I
the
wish you
opportunity.
good luck, and we'll be looking for your articles
Right.
already out and see what the future holds for you.
We shall
You know,
see.
do a little self promotion, but this is somebody that kind of on the radar, artist, author that's put himself out there, got him a bit article to kind of get noticed. And I'll say we're going to be one hit wonder. You're going to be, it's going to be like Pulitzer Prize winning every article, but it's something you enjoy and something you love, and that's all that matters on what you do something. That's why I do what I do. I don't do it for the recognition or
Yeah.
any awards or the pay. I just enjoy doing sports and doing these podcasts and getting interesting people on here. So, well, thank you, and thank you to Brian Gillespie
Appreciate
for coming up here to the Hansford Abstract Company. And we'll thank the High Plains Observer, of course, and the Booger News Herald. And now the Texas Panhandle Updates. Thank them also for the support. Well, we're going to get out of here for this evening. So for Brady and myself, we are out of here.